What's up, Navigating Academia family? This is your buddy and personal academic mentor, Dr. J. Phoenix Singh. Today I'm coming at you with another video response. It seems like you guys are really enjoying these, and I'm excited to keep making them for you, particularly on topics that we haven't discussed in depth here on this channel. If you guys are interested in more tenure track information, please do let me know down in the comments below, or by hitting the like button here on this video. That'll let me know that you guys want more of this type of content, and of course I'm more than happy to oblige this year. So the topic of the video we're going to be discussing today is how to be strategic on the tenure track. I've gone ahead and made some notes of my own on this, and also we'll go ahead and watch this video together. I believe it's from Chronicle of Higher Education. If you don't know Chronicle of Higher Education, make sure that you join their mailing list, make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel. They are one of the big dogs, one of the really big players when it comes to kind of news and media, specifically in the field of academia. And in particular, if you're looking for a job, they have an amazing job board that is easily one of the best in the field. If you guys, by the way, want me to make a video on kind of where to find tenure track jobs, where online to go, please let me know and I'm more than happy to make that video for you. Okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this brief video, and then I'll give you guys some additional tips. So here we go. How to be strategic on the tenure track.
Lights, camera, last one. Hi, I'm Fernanda Zamudio Suarez, and I'm breaking news editor with the Chronicle of Higher Education. Are you ready for the tenure track? The bar for tenure is set increasingly higher, and for many academics, that means working long hours. But you should
remember, guys, it's not just set increasingly higher, I would say. It's also one of the reasons why that is that you've got around 80% of all new academic positions being non-tenure track. And because of that, the people who do get into tenure track positions, either because of external pressures or because they feel the pressure themselves, they're just like, we have just got to overperform, outperform to be able to essentially be worthy of this position. And if you guys watch other videos on this channel, you'll know that even the contemporary conceptualization of tenure is deeply flawed, to the point where if a university really wants to get you out, even if you're tenured, they will find a way to, in essence, get you to just leave, right? And you can go ahead and watch other videos on the channel to learn more about that mechanism from within the ivory tower, right? Because on this channel, we try to give you that inside look on kind of all the politicking and this kind of stuff that goes on within the ivory tower of academia.
still try to resist overworking. So, how can a 21st century scholar be more strategic about tenure while avoiding burnout? Stick with me and I'll give you 5 tips for pursuing tenure without punishing yourself. Tip 1. Focus on relationship building. Tenure review is conducted by your peers. Relationships that you've developed with members of the committee can help them better understand and appreciate your work. It always pays to be a good colleague. Tip 2.
Oh my god, guys. I mean, she said it in just a moment because this is a short video, but this is so incredibly important. Usually the tenure clock is around like 5 years or so, right? So anywhere between like 4 to 6, pretty normal. I do have friends who've gone up earlier. Have gone up at one even like 2 years, but the other one 3 years. And the key thing there is that you need to be liked by the other people in the department. Right? Sometimes you don't even know who's going to be on your promotion panel, your tenure and promotion panel. So while you're kind of putting that dossier together, and we'll make another video about how to be able to put that dossier together for, it's also called like a tenure packet or a tenure package, get all your materials together, right? It's really important that when you're doing that, you're not just so focused there that you're thinking that your work is going to stand by itself, because behind the work is a human being, and that's you. And the fact of the matter is if for 4 to 6 years you were super duper shy like I used to be, and you locked yourself in an office and you did really phenomenal work, but you didn't make any personal connections when you served on committees within the department, you were just really quiet, you didn't attend journal clubs, you didn't go to social events when there was the annual Christmas or Halloween party, you either didn't go or you just walked down to make an appearance and, you know, grabbed some crackers and then, you know, kind of awkwardly waved at people and then left. This isn't good, right? And the other side is also not good, to think that, like, even though you're junior faculty member, that you're just better than everybody else in the department, because maybe some of these places, everybody else has fewer publications than you, or maybe you came in with a really big grant, and so you're kind of coming in with some gusto, which other people can really read that non-verbally. And I mean, this sounds very high school, doesn't it? But it's like, it is important for people to like you. And ironically, for people to like you, my genuine experience as somebody who was really bad at socializing previously is essentially dress well, go to a place where there's a lot of people, and then be quiet, start conversations, and then I call it the Pythagorean theorem, right? Which means that from where you are when you start the conversation, you need to find out what that person is passionate about, what's going on in their life, what they like to talk about, as soon as possible, right? So this could be somebody who, they have 2 kids, it was just one of their birthdays. Oh my gosh, you're kidding me. How was your birthday? And just, if that's what they love talking about, that's what they love talking about. Obviously, there's certain topics that you would never want to touch on in different countries. The level of kind of personal connection is going to be very different. Me working in the US is much more overly familiar than when I used to live in the UK, for example. And that's more than fair enough. Neither of those 2 social systems are right or wrong. They are simply different. But it's very important that you, what I say in my videos, be a pleasure. Be a pleasure to talk to. Be a pleasure to be someone who to work with, right? Just at all times be someone who is very pleasant. This can be really hard when you have a lot of stuff going on in your personal life, in your academic professional life, and so forth. But just remember that particularly in those first 5 years before you get into tenure, if you are going to overperform, yes, I do believe that if you have to outwork other people, that you do need to do that in terms of academic output and such. But I also think you really need to do that in terms of your social output or building up that social capital. I think it's absolutely essential. Some people are just not going to like you because that's the nature of life, right? But do your best, be kind, and remember that the sweetest sound to someone's ears is the sound of their own voice or the sound of their own name. So be sure that when you meet someone, say, "Hey Donna, how are you doing?" Right? As opposed to, "Hey, how are you doing?" Right? Simply by mentioning somebody's name in the middle of a sentence, I can tell you right now, you will see their eyes light up. Give it a try next time. You'll see what I mean. So let's keep going.
Focus on the outcome of your research. The committee will focus on products that came out of your research. Not all research counts in the same way towards tenure. More isn't always better. Make sure you focus on the tangible output of your research, like books and articles, rather than activities like talks or giving presentations. Tip 3.
Okay, so that's tip 2. It's true, right? Conference presentations, conference posters, these do not matter. It depends on the field, right? You have some fields like computer science, for example, where it's like if you have a conference proceeding that's been published in like a top conference, that can be just as, if not more important than publishing in an impact factor journal, right? But let's say that you're in like a social science, like I'm in psychology, right? A conference paper, a conference poster, they're nice, right? But they're not even marginally on the same level as a peer-reviewed publication in an impact factor journal, especially a good impact factor journal, right? So it's absolutely essential that you take that piece of advice, which is, God, again, it's blunt, but that's why you guys watch this channel. Nobody gives a crap about your research unless it actually gets out there. My saying is always, you can't be a thought leader if nobody knows your thoughts. And the way that people learn your thoughts is through traditional modalities like books or book chapters, peer-reviewed journal articles, and conferences. But then also, now we have these new contemporary modalities: blog posts, digital newsletters, podcasts, anything having to do with broadcast journalism, science, script writing. All of these things are incredibly important, and these things would count as academic output. I would argue also that you could say in this day and age that academic output could also be things like publishing open data sets, open science code. You could also publish things like manuscripts in repositories if they have not yet been published. But it is true that at the end of the day, we're looking to be able to put out, particularly in those first 5 years, highly citable research. Okay, not something that you'll put out because you're really passionate about it and then it gets 2 publications in 5 years. It's just not going to help you right now, okay? I'm talking about meta-analyses and systematic reviews, in-field surveys. I'm talking about large-scale epidemiological studies. I'm talking about these sorts of pieces that are highly, highly citable, even if it's just something that's like a nonprofit white paper or a government agency report, something that can be easily disseminated and that people are actually going to cite, because that's going to help our H index. Our H index, usually we want to get to around 8-ish. That totally depends on the field. In behavioral health, usually we're looking at about 5 to 8 for social work to psych, right? But also counseling in there, psychiatric nursing and such. That's really the hotspot we're looking for, and that means that we should shoot for having 8 publications, each of which have been cited 8 times. The best way to get there, as fast as possible, start publishing incredible outlets, and then making sure that you are taking on the burden of disseminating those findings to as many people as possible.
3. Teach courses that enhance the department. If you're given a choice in what you'll teach in the first few years, don't head straight to the senior seminars. Teach a course that fills a gap in the curriculum. Consider co-teaching a course with someone from a different department. You'll show that you're valuable across departments. Tip 4.
Okay, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. As you get to know, as you build up that social capital by talking to other people in your department, I want you to listen to other people complain. People love to complain, and they're going to, especially if you're junior, they're going to complain about the department and the people in it. It's really annoying, but it's true, right? People just can't help themselves. So I want you to listen about what courses people hate to teach, and what are little activities, even something as simple as, somebody needs to stock the inventory for the highlighters and the pencils in the one storage closet. I remember one place I worked, this was a rotating thing. People hated it, right? Find the things that people don't like and do those things. You will get in life what you want by helping other people get what they want. That's true in business, and it's also true in academia. Okay? Now, initially it may seem like a huge sacrifice, right? Maybe you don't really like teaching Psych 101, like I'm in Psych 101. You don't like teaching behavioral statistics or experimental psychology. But if nobody in the department enjoys doing that, my job for you is that I want you to make yourself an invaluable asset, okay? I want you to make yourself, in a word, indispensable to that department. And if you can do that, and you're just a pleasure to be around, they won't be able to imagine that department without you. Because if you didn't do those annoying things, you know who would? Nobody. Or, even worse, them. And they don't want to do it, okay? So again, I know that it's like, well, if they don't enjoy doing it, then I'm not going to enjoy doing it. But especially for teaching classes, right? After you actually get that content built, then it's basically just going and delivering it. It's going to be a lot easier after the first year of doing it. And remember, here, hopefully, if you've got a tenure track position, you're in it for the long haul, at least partially, okay? So that's my advice on that one.
Don't take on too much service. When you're on the tenure track, it's easy to take on too much service. You want to make a mark on your field and help improve your discipline. Request committee assignments that can help you develop relationships with senior professors. Tip 5, be intentional.
Okay, so I'll just sit back there so you can get that be intentional one again, okay? What she's saying is right. Oftentimes when you end up joining a department, people want to throw all kinds of stuff at you, either because they don't want to do it, or it's something where they want to give you a lot of opportunities for growth, and that's wonderful, right? It is true that you don't exactly have an unlimited amount of time, and really what I want you to focus on is what are the things that, like she said, are going to help you get very well connected, but are also things that are going to be able to create a narrative for your tenure dossier that actually makes sense. If you did some stuff like I'm in cognitive psychology, then you served on the executive committee of a developmental psychological organization, and then at a regional forensic psych conference, you served as an organizational chair. It's going to be all over the place. So there needs to be a clean, clear narrative of the work that you're doing. It's very easy to be able to get overwhelmed. My recommendation is to be able to serve on one committee in your department, right? To be able to try to get some kind of a junior executive board position at a national or international association. Oftentimes there's something that'll be like a graduate student kind of like subgroup, like a special interest group. They call it a SIG, S-I-G, or a special interest group for postdocs or early career faculty members. And this can also be something where maybe there isn't something like a journal club in your department or a stats club in your department. Those of you who watch the channel a lot, you'll know that I ended up creating my own special interest group kind of within my department on stats for my postdoc. So it's one of these things where if you really, really love that kind of work, then you can go ahead and actually make your own thing, which is pretty cool.
Be intentional. Be careful with how you use your time and energy while on the tenure track. Instead of trying to accumulate a lot of smaller accomplishments, set goals to accomplish 2 tasks a year, like publishing in a top journal or a reputable press. Create a new course, get a grant, build relationships. Now good luck, go get tenured.
Respectfully, 2 is insane. Respectfully, okay? The honest answer is as much as you can. That's the honest answer. If you get 1 publication a year and you make 1 connection a year, do you really think that's enough to get tenured? Especially at like a really good institution? That's crazy. No. In each one of these different areas or whatever, you should kind of shoot for one thing. You can't get 1 publication a year. Depends what the field is that you're in. If you're in the humanities, then maybe, right? But if you're in something like psychology or whatever, when I was a postdoc, I was publishing between 5 to 15 articles a year and cranking it out, right? And at the same time, I was also applying for grant funding. I was serving on all kinds of, editorial review boards, either as an ad hoc reviewer, and was working my way towards becoming an editorial review board member. There's videos on the channel about that if you're interested. I was kicking ass and taking names. Don't try to do one thing a year in terms of, 2 different areas, guys. That's really bad advice. Respectfully to Chronicle of Higher Education, that's bad advice. Okay, so really, this is something where you need to try to have a strategic plan. Remember that if you watch my videos on getting a postdoctoral fellowship, you need a plan going into it. That's the same thing when you're going into a tenure track faculty position. Pre-tenure, you need a plan, and you need to execute on that plan. Is it something where you can cool the jets a little bit when you get tenure? A little bit, that's true. I have friends who literally got tenure and then they literally are just like, okay, well, I know the classes I have to teach. I'm just going to teach those classes. I'm going to put out 1 or 2 publications a year, which won't be hard because they built up their professional networks to the point where they can basically rest on their laurels or on their graduate students, and they pretty much can chill. A lot of them ended up deciding to be able to focus more on their families at that point, and that's more than fair enough. And that's it. And that's what they did. Listen, this is one of these things where there is no such thing as a right way to do this. There's only wrong ways of doing it, right? Like most things in life, okay? But anyway, so that is my guidance about how to be strategic on the tenure track. Most of it lines up here with Chronicle of Higher Education, but hopefully I've been able to flesh this out a little bit more for you. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you. If you want one-on-one coaching with me, you can reach out to me. Down in the description box below is the URL. It's www.jphoenixsing.com, where we can work on making sure that you're in the right place to be able to secure tenure yourself. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.